Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the Rah Rah Rabbit. Now, once again, just want to apologise for not posting anything for about a month, I think. I'm working on a few different things at the moment and it's just trying to find time for things and trying to schedule things, and whenever I think I've got a good schedule, somebody else has other plans for me. So yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment. As well as that, Team Lucid Dream is back up and running. It's not a YouTube channel anymore, it's just currently anyway, a Facebook group, and it's me, Spacetime Badass, or James Bray, Reese Jones and Emily Butler. We just kind of post our own things every now and again on there. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I will leave a link in the description. I will also leave a link to the YouTube channels of the people that I have just mentioned. As well as that, I'm starting to do some comics. There's two ideas I've got at the moment. There's me illustrating some of my dream journal entries, which I've done a couple of those. And as well as that, I'm working on a sort of graphic novel, which is still very much in the early stages, very early stages. But it's something that I'm really passionate about and I really want to do, and I don't want to rush this one, so I'm kind of taking my time with it. But it's going to have elements of lucid dreaming, it's going to have elements of my voice hearing experiences. I'm basically just trying to bring all of the things that I'm passionate about, all the things that I experience, and kind of bring them together into one project, really, because there is so many things that I make content about, and it gets confusing at times, and I kind of want to bring all of those things together. So that is what I'm going to be doing. But I'm obviously still going to be making videos. It's just I'm trying to do one a week, but we'll just see how things go. So anyway, with that being said, let's move on. So a few years ago, when I started hearing Sid, I got very interested in the idea of exploring voice hearing from different perspectives. So my own belief has shifted dramatically over the years. I think when I first started hearing voices, I kind of went down the perhaps slightly supernatural, slightly new age, slightly out there beliefs. But then over time, I tried to see it from, I suppose, a more rational point of view, although I don't necessarily like saying that, because that implies people who have spiritual beliefs or beliefs that are a bit out there are irrational, and that's not what I'm trying to say. But for me, it was more, I needed to follow a model that could explain my experiences in a more logical way, I suppose. But that being said, I still was interested in other beliefs and other perspectives, from like shamanism, and how people who hear voices in more tribal societies are viewed much differently from people who hear voices in our society. And that was something that Sid, the voice that I was hearing at the time, well I still hear him, but that's when he turned up, was encouraging me to do this, to continue to look at different things. And the first place that I went to was psychics. Now, when it comes to psychics, I don't really believe in that sort of stuff. I don't necessarily believe that all people who claim to be psychics are frauds. I definitely think there are a lot of people who know how to read people and get information from them and then use that. So yeah, I definitely do think there are people who do pretend, and they do it just for money. But I also think there are a lot of people who are very perceptive and good at picking up on things, and believe that they are, receiving messages from somewhere else. And so the idea of, hang on, I'm just going to take that off. My reasons for going to see a psychic was I wanted to understand what they were actually experiencing when they were talking to the dead, because I've known a few people who, when I've told them that I hear voices, they are initially kind of scared, a little bit, not sure how to take that. But these same people are more than willing to accept that a psychic is hearing the voice of someone who has died, and that's perfectly normal. So in that instance, that seems to be acceptable. So I wanted to go and explore voice hearing from that perspective, and just see what I could learn, if I could learn anything. So I went to see a few, and a lot of them I went with a friend, and they were kind of like, it wasn't like a one-on-one thing, it was usually, you know, a group of people. And I was impressed by some of the information that these psychics were able to receive, I suppose. Of course, you know, there was a lot of stuff that was very vague and didn't really reveal a lot. But there were times when the psychics were able to recite very in-depth stories about a person, which, you know, it was difficult for me to know how they could have access to that information if it wasn't being told to them. But besides that, what I was kind of really interested in was if the psychics were able to pick up anything on my voice hearing experience. Because even though at this point I was sure that my voices were mental health related, they were coming from me, I figured that if they weren't coming from me, and if they were coming from an outside source, and if a psychic is able to hear dead people or people who aren't here, would they be able to hear what I was hearing? And I had quite an interesting experience with one psychic. It was me and my friend went to her house. It was a one-on-one thing, so my friend went in first, and then I went in. And although I can't really remember a great deal of what we spoke about, you know, I don't think she couldn't really get a lot of information on me. She kind of gave the usual sort of, you need to take a rest, you need a vacation, this, you know, just kind of general stuff that I expected her to say. But then as we're kind of getting towards the end of the session, she said, "Is there anybody you know called Dean?" And one of my voices is called Dean. And I was like, yeah, I do know someone. And she was kind of picking up something. Again, it was vague, it's not like she could really say anything about him. But I suppose for a little while I felt a bit creeped out by that. And, you know, I gave her some other names and to see if she could pick up anything. You know, I gave her some of the names of the voices I was hearing, and no, she couldn't actually get anything on them. When I got to Darren, she said that she could see he was shorter than the rest of the people that I mentioned, and that is true. Darren is shorter than the rest of the guys. But no, other than that, there wasn't anything like there was no details that she could give. But it did temporarily kind of freak me out a bit. And after we'd spoken, you know, she said that she could see that I had a gift, and that maybe it was just something that I would need to work on, and in time maybe I'd be doing what she's doing, which, you know, I very much doubt. But it's interesting how many people have said that to me. There was another, 'cause I went to a spiritualist church for a bit, which was a bit of a weird experience, and again that was to do with, you know, seeing psychics and seeing if they could pick up on anything. And whenever I go into these sort of spaces, everyone kind of thinks that I have some sort of power, and eventually I will unlock that power. And I think for the most part that's people just bullshitting and trying to draw me in and trying to lure me into their world. And you know, I feel like they're trying to make me feel special so that I kind of, you know, come back again and give them more money. But yeah, that's it was definitely an interesting experience. It didn't really give me anything that I wanted, you know, but at the same time I realised that what I wanted was probably not real. You know, like, my voices are my voices, only I can hear them. They're not the voices of the dead, I suppose. Or perhaps all these psychics were just full of shit. It's probably both. So yeah, that's kind of just what I wanted to say today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate everyone taking the time to sit through my videos. If you would like to support me on Patreon, you can. There will be a link to that in the description. I would also like to thank these people for continuing to support me with what I do. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Max, aka the Rara Rabbit. I'll see you in the next video.